welcome back to Busy Garden Life. I'm Sarah, and today I am showing you how to make grape jelly from our frozen Concord grapes. So I am trying to clean out the freezer again. I just did tomatoes this morning, at least got them out and thawing, and now I want to get the Concord grapes out of the freezer as well. So to get that started, I have my pot here. We're going to put about 4 cups of grapes in there, frozen grapes. You can just do it right from freezing. You can let them thaw if you want to, but you can just throw them in there frozen as well. So I have my pot here to cook down the grapes, and then I also have my pressure canner. Now I'm not going to use a pressure canner because you can water bath can jellies and jams. So I'm going to use my pressure canner just as a water bath canner today. So as you can see, I have washed and rinsed all my pint jars, or half pint jars I should say, in hot water, and now they are just sitting in there. I'm going to bring the temperature up so that it will sterilize them as I am making the jam. So I like to do that first and get that going. That way the jars are ready to go when I am ready to ladle them in there. So we're just going to turn this on. We're going to get that going. I'm going to get my other 2 cups in here. Now typically you want, they say 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds of grapes. I don't know exactly how much that is. I want to say it's about 4 cups of grapes. So I'm just going to put this whole bag in there. There's not much left in there. The nice thing about jams and jellies, if you use pectin in the box or on the jar, it tells you how much sugar and how much pectin you need and how much fruit. So instead of trying to memorize everything, it's really nice, just use whatever you use on the pectin box or the jar. All right, so we're gonna turn this on, and I'm gonna add a cup of water to the bottom of it. That helps prevent the berries from getting stuck on the bottom or burning. So we're gonna add a cup of water here. And then we're gonna come on over here. All right, so I don't feel like this is very many grapes, in all honesty. So I'm just gonna pour a whole nother bag in here. Because once we boil it down and get the seeds out of it, I think that will be a lot better. So 2 bags, 2 decent sized bags, so that's probably 8 actual cups of grapes, I would say. So now we're just going to boil it down. Just a second. We're going to kind of let the grapes thaw out, try to get it to boil down. And after that, we are going to put it into the food processor to process it all up. And then we can also get the stems, any stems or seeds that are in there, we can run it through a strainer. So we're just going to let this boil down, and I will show you when we are ready for the next step. Okay, so as we are getting this to kind of boil down and come up to temperature, I'm going to set everything else up. So I have a little saucepan over here with water, and I'm going to put in my lids, my canning lids. So that they get nice and sterile as well. You want to make sure that those are nice and sterile as you're putting them on. So I just keep it on low as a simmer, and then until it's ready. That way it's not just boiling the whole time, but just keep it on low, gets it to temperature, and then when I'm getting close to canning, then I can just bring it up a little bit to a boil so that I know that they're nice and sterile. So I have 10 jars in here. It's supposed to make about 8 cups, which is 8 half-pint jars. I have 10 of them here just in case we go over. We might go less, who knows. But I did add quite a bit extra grapes, so we may get a little bit more. We'll see. So I have that going, my lids, and we're waiting for this to boil. I also have my towel set on over here in case of any dripping, things like that. So that is for when we are ready to ladle them into the jars and then put them back into the processor. So let's just keep boiling this down. I'm gonna go get my funnel and my tongs for the cans as well, just so I have all of my tools ready. Okay, I want to do a quick side note of what you need for canning. So if you've never canned before, then these are the must-haves. Right, so you need your water bath canner or pressure canner, whichever works for you. You need your jars. These are 1/2 pint size. I use these for jams and jellies. You can do a pint jar if you want to. We don't tend to use it quick enough, even though I do have 4 kids. We don't tend to use the big jars enough to use them. I also like how easy it is to get them out of the smaller pint jars. So it's up to you what you want to use, but I use these smaller ones for the jams and jellies. You need lids. You have to use new lids every single time. Throw the old ones away when you're done with them. You need the rings in order just to kind of help seal it on top. And then you need a little canning kit, I call it, a funnel. So the funnel is going to help you get the jams into the jars easier. There's this magnetic thing. This is in order to get the lids out of the hot water and then put them onto the jar. So you'll see me use that. Tongs, you have these tongs in order to get the cans out of the water bath canner. And then there's also this little tool. This kind of helps measure how far away. You want some space at the top of every jar that you're filling, so this can help you measure. It also can help stir a little bit and get any bubbles out that might be in there that you want to calm down. So I will, in the description, I'll post a link on Amazon of something that I like. It's a nice little kit that I've gotten. It works great, and you have all the tools. I've had this for years, ever since I've started, and it's been probably about 10 years. So if you buy a good kit, then it lasts a long time and you don't have to replace it every year. It's a good investment. So those are the things that you need in order to be able to do the process. So let's head on over and see where we're at with the grapes. All right, you can see we've gotten it up to a nice boil. I'm gonna turn it down just a tad. You want it like medium, high maybe. You don't want it to scorch the bottom and then get the grapes all burnt. But you want it to boil so that it'll boil down. We want some of this water to evaporate and boil off. So we're gonna kind of keep stirring it and let it boil for a little bit longer. Then once it boils down, we're gonna put it in the food processor. You can see some of the seeds already kind of starting to come out. So. All right, this is looking really good. We're just gonna give it a couple more minutes to boil down just a little bit more of the water. Now I got to thinking you might be wondering why or how I knew that I don't think the first batch had enough grapes and I wanted to add some. So I've made jams and jellies, strawberry and raspberry before, and it just didn't seem like it was filling the pot as much as my strawberries and raspberries. So hopefully I'm correct by adding more. Now this fills the pot up about halfway, so I feel like this is much better than what I had. Typically you want around 7 or 8 cups of raspberries and strawberries, so I would think that by the time you boil down and thaw out the grapes that it should be about the same. So maybe it seemed like there wasn't as much because it was frozen, I'm not sure. But anyway, this looks a lot better. It looks like quite a bit in there, and it looks like we'll actually get a good amount of jam out of it. So just gonna let it go just a few more minutes.
It's looking really
good. And then
good.
we'll let it is looking good. You can see it's kind of thickening up. And then we'll let it cool down a little bit before we put it in the food processor. We don't want to tear up our food processor. And we'll just do it in small batches.
Oh my God.
Alright, there we have it. I think that's boiled down quite a bit. It's getting pretty thick. There's not as much water in there, so shut the heat off. We're going to let it cool just for a couple minutes just before we put it into the food processor. So I'm gonna set up my food processor and get that ready while we let this cool, and then we can get the seeds out of it too. Okay, so we've got our food processor here. You could also use like a Ninja if you wanted to, and then the strainer with a bowl. That way, once we're done with this, we can put it in here to strain out all of the seeds. So I also put a towel underneath everything because the grape jelly can stain with its deep red color. So just be aware of that and cautious. I'm just gonna ladle a few scoops in at a time. That way
we don't have a problem with big bad spills.
Well, it's still pretty hot, so. You can hear the seeds kind of rolling around in there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, gosh. See how many seeds are in this batch.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly but surely it's going to happen.
So we just take a spoon or whatever. Kind of push all of that down in there. We got a few leftover peels as well. But you can see you want to get all that good stuff down in there. So I'm just going to finish it with the last of this, and then we're going to pour it back in the pot and add our pectin. Okay, so as you can see, we have our nice filtered grape jelly ready. So we're going to put it back into our pot after we rinsed out the pot. As much in there as we can. And then the first thing we're going to do is add the pectin. Alright, we want to add the pectin. I am just using Sure Gel pectin. You can also use a jar, and I think the amount to use is right on there. With one of these, you have your little cheat sheet in here. So one of these and then 7 cups of sugar. But before we add the sugar, we're going to bring this up to a boil. And once we get a rolling boil where you cannot stir it down, we're going to boil it for another minute at that point in time, and then we will add our sugar and bring it back up to a boil again. So we're going to kind of just let this keep going. I will show you what the rolling boil without being able to stir it down actually means once we reach that point. So I have it on medium-high heat to kind of get that going. Our water bath canner is boiling now, so we know that the jars are nice and hot. And we want it to be boiling too, so that when we add the jars, once it comes up to a boil, we're going to process it for 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. So we'll just kind of keep stirring this, waiting for it to come up to a boil.
Mom.
I increased the heat to high, and it's coming to a rolling boil, meaning I can't stir this down at all. It is just a boiling away. So I'm going to give it about a minute so that the pectin can work, and then we're going to add our 7 cups of sugar that I have right next to me already. So
I'm going last. No. No, I'm going first.
So we want to wait and bring it back up to a boil and let all that sugar dissolve in there. It seems like a lot, but you have to do the exact amount or else it will not set correctly. Look at the color got a lot darker. You can feel it kind of getting thicker as you go too. It's really nice consistency. All right, we've reached a rolling boil. We're gonna let this go for another minute to make sure that it's going really, really good. So we let it kind of come up to a boil for a minute. Now we're going to ladle them in the jars. So before I do that, I'm actually going to pull all of the jars out of the water so that they are ready. They'll stay hot enough that they'll be okay. So I'm just gonna kind of set them here. Now if your jam or jelly tends to have a lot of foam on it, mine's not too bad. You can skim off that foam, or you could add like a pat of butter and that helps it as well. But mine seems to be good enough that I'm not too worried about it. So you want to give, when you're filling them, you're going to give it about a ½ inch. All right, so we're going to use our funnel here. And we're just going to ladle. The jars are going to be hot, so we don't want to really. You want about a ½ inch of headspace in the top of the jar. And once we're done doing this, we're gonna clean off the rims real quickly before we add. It's definitely a messy process. Try to be as clean as possible, but you're gonna get it all over. Maybe you'll be. See, I might have a little bit more, so I'm gonna throw 2 more jars in the pot really quickly. And let them sanitize while I finish up the other ones real quick. Alright, and this is where the handy dandy, this thing kind of comes in. You can just stir it a little bit and get some of those bubbles out.
No! No! Mom needs those. Thank you. No.
Oops. Should probably done this after, before I cleaned the jars off.
No, no more, no.
Alright, and then we're going to use our magnetic thing. Kind of just put on top. And then you just want to just kind of hand tighten the jars. They don't need to be really tight. You don't want them so tight you can't get them off. I can't seem to get that one on. All right, we've got them done. Now we are going to pop them back in the water and let them process. Now it's not quite to a boil yet, just because we are adding the jars back in. So we want to wait till it comes up to a boil. Once it comes up to a boil again, then we're going to start the processing time, which is 10 minutes. So We will let it go, and then once it is done, we will take them out and wait to hear the pops of the cans so that we know that they're sealed. We got all 12 of them in there. They're a little tight, but it's still working. You can see it's starting to press, almost bubble. So we'll give it a couple more minutes till it comes to a nice boil, and then we will start the timer. Okay, our timer is off. It's been 10 minutes, so we are going to take the jars out. And the best part is listening for the sound of them sealing, hearing those little pops. Hopefully we'll get a couple as I'm doing this.
It's like ASMR.
That way you know it's sealed and good. But we're gonna leave them out on the counter until they cool before we put them away. So usually tomorrow morning, 24 hours or so, 12, 24 hours. And then I have a whole nother batch that I'm going to do. I had enough for another batch. You do not want to combine batches. So, oh, I just heard one pop.
Yeah, I did too. I think it was that one, Mom.
So, listen, here they go. It's exciting. It's exciting. Anyway, you do not want to do 2 batches at once. It will ruin the jam. It does not work out. So, because I have everything out and ready and my water's already boiling, I am just going to go ahead and add new cans to here. I'm going to make another batch, and then we will be done with our grape jam.
Yeah. Oh, there's one.
Yeah, you can hear it. Let's see. There's our final product. We have 12 of them. They're already kind of setting up really good. So that's great. So there you have it. Jam, Concord grape jam from the freezer. Okay, one thing I do want to make note of is if you find that one of your jars or 2 of your jars don't seal, you can either try to put it back in the canner to get it to seal, or I'm just gonna put it in the refrigerator. I have 2 as of right now that have not sealed, and you know they're not sealed because you can feel the center still raised. These ones are nice and flat. These ones here, the center, I can feel that it has not flattened and popped down. So I'm still gonna give it time. It's only been an hour since I took them out, so it could end up sealing overnight. Who knows? But if it doesn't, don't feel like they're wasted. You can always just put them in the refrigerator, and we're gonna use those ones right away as opposed to storing it on the shelf. So just wanted to make note of that. Anyway, if you have any comments, go ahead and put them in there. If you liked the video, please like it, subscribe to the page. That way you can stay up to date with everything that I'm gonna be preserving throughout this year. Also, you can check out the videos that we have regarding our garden and our meal prepping and planning videos to help get you through your busy week. So, hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you back here soon.
Yay!